I'm telling you, Nina got a story wrong and it wasn't an accident, okay? And I'm also saying that now that people are saying you got the story wrong, now Nina is threatening to go after these creators that are saying you got the story wrong. Don't play me. What are you, like the Godfather? I'm confused.
Hi beautiful people, hope you guys are doing fantastic wherever you are in the world. First and foremost, a huge thank you goes out to Llama Girl for catching and recording these lives of Katie Joy's, aka Without a Crystal Ball, so people like me that are blocked from her actually are able to see the shenanigans that she's up to. So if you would like to show your appreciation to Llama Girl, a link to buy her coffee is down in my description box. If you'd just like to reach out and say thank you, her Twitter is also linked down in my description box. Once again, thank you so much to Llama Girl for all the hard work she puts in and the late hours that she puts in for doing this for us. Without a Crystal Ball has come back to TikTok and is talking about Gypsy Rose again. Why now? And according to her, this is the reason why.
Sometimes with this case, I just go back to basics when things start getting crazy. Yeah. People need to remember and just get back to the basics of this case. Like, right. It's stop worrying about if she's dating Ken. Who cares if they broke up? It doesn't matter. All of that is bullcrap. You know, like,
it's fun to laugh at, but yeah, I like to get back to the case also as well.
Because she wants you to forget about her crime.
She states that sometimes she goes back to the basics when things start getting crazy, because sometimes people need to remember and just get back to the basics and stop worrying about if she's dating Ken. Who cares if they broke up? It doesn't matter. All that is crap. Here's a little suggestion, Katie Joy. Why don't you leave it up to the audience for them to make their own decision? What is relevant and what is irrelevant? If you feel that by Nina reporting about the split on Gypsy and Ken is crap, then all well and good. Keep it pushing. You are the main one that needed to go back to the basics a long time ago, because you are the one that blindly followed them and believed everything they told you for 5 years without doing your due diligence. That is your own stupidity. That's on you. But you felt the need to hop right back on the Gypsy Express and in the interim try to insult, malign, and discredit Nina. This is my theory. Either Sister Wives is so boring that there's not much for her to report on, or she found inspiration from Nina, the beauty influencer, that recently divulged how much money she made off one post that she made about Gypsy Rose. And nothing is more important to Without a Crystal Ball than her bank accounts, and that her bank account grows. Anyways, she came back to TikTok to drag, insult, and discredit Nina under the guise of being the voice of reason. You will hear Without a Crystal Ball being condescending, hypocritical, and trying to come across as if she's an expert, or maybe even someone you can learn a lesson or two from, which is all just a joke. And this was the first time back in a long time, so this is the first TikTok that she made.
I think that when you get a story wrong, it can be kind of embarrassing. And I had a story that I got wrong with Sister Wives based on information given to me by a neighbor. And I had media outlets in, just like in this case, running the story as though it was true. I had the company reach out to me and say, that wasn't true. Can you please correct the story? And I did. And I had to say I got it wrong. That was very humbling for me. Guess who I never used as a source again? That neighbor. Sometimes in this line of work, you get stories wrong. Doubling down on your being wrong and then threatening people that say that you're wrong says a lot about who you are. That's just how I view it. Like, if someone's trying to say you got this wrong and they're not doing it maliciously and there's no malice and they're not trying to hurt you, they're just trying to correct you. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. But let's be honest. She got the story that Ken and Gypsy broke up false. But if you get a story wrong, doubling down on that wrongness just makes you look, at this point, kind of belligerent, because now you're threatening people that are saying it's not true. They give information to different people. They tell half-truths to different people. They spread misinformation around, and they do this for two separate reasons, okay? One, I'll tell you for a fact, their goal, I have text messages to prove this, is to ruin Nina. Their goal is to completely destroy her platform. That's what they want. And they want to do this by discrediting her, making her look like she gives out bad information, by taunting her, by baiting her. Gypsy has said that she wants to completely remove her from the beauty space, and Bree has vowed to not stop until Nina's platform is destroyed. Okay? I have text messages to prove all of this. Because they hate Nina, no, she can't do any of that. So what they do is they intentionally give bad information to sources. Okay? So say Christy's cousin, for instance. No, actually, I'll tell you a story. And this person passed away, so I can tell you this. One of Christy's friends, her name was Dawn. She died, I think, in October. She was a source for Nina for quite a while. Okay? Dawn was Christy's best friend from this case. She and Christy had been friends for 9 years, and they were having fights and not having fights, and sometimes we're getting along and other times we're not getting along. But what Dawn was doing was Dawn was going to Nina and pretending like she wasn't on good terms with Christy, okay? So she was going to Nina and telling her things about Christy, making her think that what she was telling her was true. All the while, Dawn was going back to Christy and telling her what she was doing. I know this because Dawn told me she was doing it before she died. Dawn reached out to me and tried to pull the same shit on me. She tried to pretend to me that she was on bad terms with Christy. And before she died, she claimed she was going to be writing a book to expose the Blanchards completely. The problem with Dawn was that she was Christy's bulldog for the longest time. She was Bree before Bree existed, okay?
Let me clarify and correct you, Katie Joy. This situation, in regard to reporting on Gypsy Rose and Nina reporting on Gypsy Rose, is very different than the situation with you that exploited the death of Garrison Brown. He was the son of Janelle and Cody Brown, and she accused them of him taking his own life. And she falsely reported on that story and included a very reputable company that did not appreciate her including them in her lies. That correction is no longer available. And she is only mentioning one of the falsehoods that she spread, obviously because she was called out and she had to make a correction. But she actually made quite a few falsehoods when she was reporting on the passing of Garrison Brown. Side note, why is she always scratching her face? Anyways, by her coming for Nina under the guise of coming to the defense of Ivory Rose Gross, just stay in your lane, Katie Joy. For you to say that Nina looked belligerent, wow. It's the lack of self-awareness for me. If Dawn was a source of Nina's, who is without a crystal ball to divulge that information? And who in their right mind throws a person that has passed under the bus? Again, only time will tell if Gypsy and Ken did break up. And by Gypsy or the Blanchards denying it or giving confirmation or validation that they did not break up means nothing, in my opinion, because they do lie a lot. And I personally do believe that they have broken up because there are signs to basically validate that the story is true, and I will go into that in another video. But Katie Joy says that she has texts to prove that their goal was to ruin Nina. I do believe she has those texts, but those texts are not recent texts. Those are texts from when she was friends with Christy, and she was A-okay and 100% fine with them ruining Nina as long as she kept her hands clean.
And Christy and this family have always had a Bree-like person, a Bree character. It was Dawn for a while. It was Fancy for a minute. Currently, it's Bree and Natasha. It was Natasha for a minute. If you're new to the story like Nina only joined this case after Gypsy was released. She has no context of the 10 years of online trolling and how sophisticated they have become at getting bad information out to people to intentionally discredit them. Christy, what she does, if you guys want more information, can you guys please give me some love? I've been noticing that I'm not getting a lot of diamonds or anything, and I want to be able to give stuff back to people, so let's go there. Let's set a goal here. So some of the people that come into this case, they see her and they take everything at face value. They assume that what the Blanchards tell people is truthful. They assume that everything that's at surface level is a fact. They don't go in or dig anything. They don't try to verify. And the Blanchards have had 10 plus years to perfect their story about the crime, perfect their story about Gypsy, perfect their story about Dee Dee. They've had a lot of time, more time than the creators that are newly coming into this case. They are 3 steps ahead of everything that Nina could think that she's doing. And I've tried to tell Nina multiple times that they're baiting her intentionally. I sent her screenshots showing that they're doing this to her. She had a source named Dawn giving her bad information intentionally for Christy for months. Now, sometimes she would get things correct, right? Because they don't want to make her look bad all the time. So she'll get little tiny details right. Like she knew that she was going to have a girl, but let's be honest. Nina wasn't the first person that knew she was going to have a girl. She also wasn't the first person that knew that Gypsy was pregnant. I knew Gypsy was pregnant before Nina ever did. I knew Gypsy was pregnant the day after she tested positive for she took the pregnancy test. She got her pregnancy positive test, I think like May 22nd or 23rd, and I found out the next day. I said nothing, and that's how the Blanchards determine who they can trust. Okay, so this is what they do. By the time I was told, though, I had been in their camp for 5 years, they had no reason to believe that I was going to turn on them or reveal anything. They knew that I had known so much information about them that I'd never divulged it, okay? And so they had no reason to believe that I would share any of it.
So yes, Katie Joy could have known that Gypsy was pregnant the day after she found out or tested positive after taking a pregnancy test. And the dates make perfect sense. And let me show you this. So the first time Katie Joy turned on Gypsy and the Blanchards was May 23rd. She found out with everyone else that Gypsy messed with Kim Kardashian, and she was pissed because she thought she was in the loop with everything going on with Gypsy Rose. Well, sorry boo, you weren't. And Katie Joy threw a fit and she posted this. I can't support this anymore. And you guys can pause to read this post. This is where she divulged how Melissa Moore told them to get their bag, how Gypsy is becoming famous for the wrong reasons and because she murdered her mother, profiting off the crime. And also she wasn't advocating, but as I said, just pause to read. And then the same day she posted, I can't support this at all. This has become about fame and money. Too many people are telling Gypsy to get a bag. Money has been put in trust to avoid the appearance of profiting off the crime. The Hollywood people around Gypsy are not helping her at all. Then the next day, on May 24th, Without a Crystal Ball posted, oh hi, it's been a minute. I was actually going to show my face today on my channel, but ended up being on the phone with Gypsy for almost 3 hours. Anyway, don't want to let this makeup go to waste, so here I am. So that's when Gypsy made a post stating that she's going to take a break from social media and focus on a relationship with Ken and all that bullshit. And during this 3-hour conversation is when Without a Crystal Ball was told that Gypsy was pregnant. To which Without a Crystal Ball made this post. I have archived my previous post about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Not because I still don't feel concerned or have issues with the way Lifetime is handling the situation, but because no matter what, my post came from a place of protection. I want to be clear that Christy nor Gypsy manipulate or dictate my feelings about them. When I have a concern, I can always express my feelings to them. I stand firm that I don't like how Lifetime has handled her story. I don't believe the image they portray of her on socials gives the story the seriousness or care that it deserves. Gypsy is not a perfect victim. I don't agree with the fact that she murdered Dee Dee, but the thing about Gypsy is that she doesn't believe she should have murdered her mom either. I don't have to support every decision that she makes to still want the best for her and her family. Gypsy is impulsive. She will tell you that herself. She also has trauma from her abuse and often reacts from a trauma response when she feels out of control. She isn't an evil, horrible human. She is flawed, like we all are. My concern for her is that she takes care of herself. I sometimes forget that she is under contract and has a massive network that is pushing all of this out. So much of what is posted on her social media is done by Lifetime. Gypsy and I had a very long talk today, and I was very, very open with her about my concerns. She heard them and agreed that she does need to take a step back. I will never pile on her. I will never hate her for her crime. I will support her taking care of herself and getting help. I don't want my friendship of 5 years with Christy to end over Lifetime's agenda. Christy isn't a bad person. She's a fierce, protective mom. But my favorite thing about Christy and Gypsy is that I can tell them that I don't agree with what I am seeing and they don't get mad. Gypsy is not in violation of the terms of her parole. Lifetime is using her platforms for promotion. She is also allowed to be paid to share her life today because it has nothing to do with her crime. Gypsy will never convince the public of who she is or who she is not. As I said, on May 24th, Gypsy and Christy told without a crystal ball that Gypsy was pregnant to bring her back into the fold, to keep her quiet and to pacify her and make her believe that they trust her. But I think they just needed to keep her quiet before spilling anything else. And I believe this next post that I'm going to show you validates my theory. So let's fast forward to July. When Gypsy actually did her pregnancy announcements, this is what Without a Crystal Ball posted. She says, Gypsy Rose Blanchard pregnant. Gypsy is expecting her first child with her boyfriend Ken Urker. The baby is due in January 2025. Pay attention to this. At Gypsy Rose Blanchard Insta, I keep secrets. So, Miss Without a Crystal Ball, miss me with all the bullshit that they had no reason to believe that you were going to turn on them, when in reality and truthfully, you had already turned on them once before and revealed all the information you had known at that time. They had to pacify you, give you a crumb, and bring you all the way back into the fold to shut you up and make you believe that they trusted you when they didn't. And yes, you may have known about Gypsy's pregnancy before Nina, but you were on probation. You had no choice but to keep your mouth shut. Whereas Nina didn't sell her soul to the devil. It seems as though the information she gets, it all just comes to her. No strings attached, no keeping secrets or making up sources. You want to tell Nina to take the L.
And in my earlier career, did I have mistakes and hiccups and do stuff like that too? I did. And I'm years later ahead of what she's at in terms of like how long I've been doing this. And all I'm saying is like, sometimes it's okay to admit you're wrong. Sometimes it's okay to take the lump, take the L, and go about your business.
Maybe it is time for you to start taking the L's and realizing that it's okay to be wrong, and really humble yourself and admit to yourself that you sold out for whatever reason you and the Blanchards in game was, and you did lose. So just take the L, sit down, cut your losses, and move on. You can report on Gypsy. Anybody can report on Gypsy, but there's no need to try take out the top player. You may have more numbers, but definitely not credibility. There is so much more, you guys. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving to you all in the US, and I will be back on Friday with more. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be safe out there. Be kind to one another, and don't forget, make good memories. Bye, guys.